Welcome to this special live streaming from the Tribune Network. I'm Rohit Bhan. We are discussing a very important story, unfortunate incident. 66 children who are dead because of the consumption of a syrup in the Western African state of Gambia. Now, under scanner is an Indian company based in Haryana that's come under a scanner. A probe has been launched. I'm joined by my senior colleague from the Delhi Bureau, Aditi Tanan. Aditi, first tell us, apparently a report suggests that this company, Eminent Pharmaceuticals, based out of Sonipat, seems to have been a repeated offender. What do we know?
Right, Rohit, Eminent Pharmaceuticals in Sonipat, which has been named by the WHO for potential link with deaths of 66 Gambian children, as you just said, has been a repeat offender, and there have been reports to this effect. In fact, it has been said that a lot of products of this company were found substandard even in 2011, and the export consignments from this particular company were banned by Vietnam earlier, and some of the states of the country had also banned certain products and certain stocks of this particular company. What we know of Maiden Pharmaceuticals right now, Rohit, is very little, because what happened was, in this particular case, that for the first time, World Health Organization wrote to the Ministry of Health in India on 29th of September. 29th of September, WHO brought it to the notice of India that 4 cough syrups manufactured by this Sonipat firm are potentially linked to deaths of these children in the Gambia. And the WHO immediately told India that you must look at the stocks of this company, bring everything off the shelf, and you should also issue perhaps a national alert, which will be in the interest of the general public, because the firm, of course, is located in Haryana, as you know. But for a few days after this alert was sounded by WHO, apparently nothing came in the public domain. After which, what happened, that the WHO issued a medical product alert about 3 days ago, as we know. And this medical product alert was issued after WHO privately wrote to the drug regulator of India. So there was a gap of 5-6 days between these two happenings. And the procedure in such cases is always that you, first of all, halt the distribution of the stocks in question. There are particular batches on these consignments which have been said to be fatal. And the WHO has told India that, you investigate these particular stocks. And the WHO has also told countries across the world, especially, as you know, Africa imports a lot of Indian generic drugs. India is a huge generic market, as you know, Rohit. And a lot of our products go into the African countries, and Gambia being one of them. So WHO has done done whatever was required at their level to sound other nations, and an alert has been issued. What India has done so far is that the Haryana drug regulator has sampled certain stocks and cough syrups from this company on its own end, and sent those samples to Kolkata laboratory for testing. And the central drug regulator, which is under the Union Health Ministry, has done its own sampling. The samples of the central drug regulator have gone to the regional drug lab in Chandigarh. Now, sampling of these products and the final result takes a while. I'm told the results will come in about 4 to 5 days. So the Indian position is that WHO is yet to provide them any clear-cut evidence of a direct link between these cough syrups and the deaths of the children. It is estimated that there is a link, but as you know, since it has happened in India, India will have to do its own investigations. So Union Health Ministry has said once the results come, we will announce what is the future course of action. So that is where we stand on this.
Also, Aditi, if we go by the reports which indicate that it had been red flagged, this company, some of the products, by many states like Gujarat, Kerala, Bihar. Now, if one was to imagine that these these claims that this company was flouting norms were indeed true, isn't it a big in terms of loopholes, in terms of the drug findings by the Haryana authorities? I mean, they should have cracked down on this company earlier. If what these reports suggest is true, that they should have actually investigated these complaints against this company, Made in Pharma.
You are absolutely correct, Rohit. You know, the question that the national regulators have to answer is, why is this even happening? And you see, diethynyl glycol, which is the chemical compound in question, which has been found in the cough syrups in question, is a very lethal compound. It is found in something called propylene glycol, which is used as a solvent in in drugs like cough syrups, which contain paracetamol. The reason why propylene glycol is used is because paracetamol, being a drug, it cannot dissolve itself. It is not soluble. So you use propylene glycol to make it a solvent, so that this particular cough syrup, the paracetamol drug, which is an advanced pharmaceutical ingredient, it can dissolve in water and children can have it. That is the limited purpose of propylene glycol, which is the main compound. Now, this particular impurity, diethylene glycol, is found in propylene glycol. And if you look at the Indian pharmacopoeia, which is the sacred book which tells you what should be the drug formulation, what kind of drug formulation is good in what disease, and they also give you specifications. If you read Indian pharmacopoeia on this particular fatal compound which was found in the Sonipat firm cough syrups, it tells you that the quantity of diethylene glycol in any drug should be nil. And the quantity actually has been found to be in a certain percentage. So it is a question that the drug regulators have to answer, Rohit, that how come a product has been manufactured in a firm which is licensed by the Haryana drug regulator, and it has unacceptable quantities of this particular adulterant. Now, the position that the government of India and the government of Haryana are taking is that we don't know for ourselves. That is the position they are taking. They are saying that WHO has not given us a causal link between the death of children and between this particular contaminant. So we will do our own investigation. Fair enough. Now the investigations will reveal what is to be done. But this is not the first time children have been killed because of this contaminant. Rohit, you also know that in 2020, 12 infants had died in Udhampur exactly in the same copybook manner. Only the firm was different. The firm at that time was Kala-based Digital Vision, you remember.
Right.
And the cough syrups of that particular firm had landed in several states of India, including in Jammu and Kashmir. It had reached Udhampur and Ramnagar Tehsil, and 12 children, all children from poor families, Rohit. They were killed after consuming this cough syrup. Their kidneys failed. It is such a lethal substance. And even till today, we have reported in our papers today that 3 years, almost 2 years and 9 months after the children died, there has been no charge sheet in the case. Right. So what is the example that the Indian drug regulatory system and the criminal justice system is setting? Are we telling these drug regulators and these very casual manufacturers that it is okay to kill children's lives and move on? So that is the message we are sending, because we are not cracking down on these spurious and substandard drug manufacturers. Ideally, in such cases, there have to be heavy penalties, including of death, because children have died. And this was in Udhampur 2 years ago. And now we have reports from Gambia, which are, unfortunately, again linked to the same substance in India.
Aditi, also, until the time these reports come in, as you mentioned that it's gone to the regional laboratories. Now, till the report comes in, is there going to be any restrictions on production from this particular pharma company, or they will continue producing drugs, generic drugs? Maybe they will continue exporting into other countries. Is there a law, is there a provision under which that till the report comes in, gives it a clean chit or not, till that time its production will be halted? Is any such move on the anvil?
Yeah, absolutely. The Drugs and Cosmetics Act of 1940 is very clear on these provisions. Whenever there is any cloud of doubt over the manufacturing of a certain pharma unit, the production has to be halted till the stocks are cleared of any kind of substandard and spurious substance found in them. So as I said, that till the time about 5 days later, we'll have some results. And I think till then, the manufacturing and operations of this firm have been halted. And of course, the Haryana drug regulator has conducted the sampling from the stocks that have been flagged by the WHO, because you don't need to test every other product. You only have to test the 4 products which have been very clearly mentioned in the WHO's medical alert statement.
Okay. Also, Aditi, as you rightly mentioned some time back, that Indian pharma industry commands a lot of respect worldwide. Generic drugs, India is the biggest contributor to generic drugs across the globe, be it Africa, be it Asia. Now, such incidents, do they really impact the credibility of the Indian pharma industry?
See, there are various aspects to this particular issue. India's emergence as the global hub of pharmaceuticals is bothering a number of multinationals.
Right.
As you know that even when the COVID pandemic had struck, you know how much pressure was brought upon the government of India to import vaccines from abroad. There was pressure from the opposition also to import, Pfizer and to import the Moderna vaccines. But you see, India stood its ground, manufactured its own indigenous vaccines, and showed the world that we can actually match the best minds in research, and we can produce Covaxin. And Covishield, of course, was developed by an Indian firm, but Covaxin, as you know, was developed as well as produced by India. So, India has a lot of capacity. That is the big issue, Rohit, that small instances of spurious drugs and manufacturers of spurious drugs going unpunished are going to cast a cloud on the global reputation of India as the pharmaceutical leader in the whole world, because our generic drugs saved millions of lives in Africa during the height of the HIV/AIDS pandemic epidemic. You remember at that time, it was our drugs which were being sent to Africa.
Right.
Until then, all the major drugs that were used in HIV treatment were all branded drugs. Nobody could afford them. It was only when the Indian generic industry rose to the occasion and started manufacturing these products that, they became available. Now, this is, so see, there has to be a balance. As you expand the generic drug industry, Maiden Pharma, what is it? It is also a generic producer. Similar was the case with Digital Vision, generic producer of drugs. But, you cannot let the regulatory systems go for a toss. So as you expand the generic medicine market, which means that you are cutting costs on various accounts, you have to ensure that regulatory frameworks catch up with that kind of expansion. Now, one clear problem with the Indian drug regulatory mechanism is, short staffing. If you look at every state and if you actually investigate, Rohit, you'll find that every state drug regulatory department is reeling under shortage of drug inspectors. So obviously there are 3 inspectors and there are 100 firms. So what do you do? So there have to be investments as India grows to become the pharmaceutical leader of the world, the pharmacy of the world. The government of India will have to invest in drug regulation, because WHO's good manufacturing practices will have to be maintained. You can't have a slur like the death of Gambian children on your face because Maiden Pharmaceutical was allowed to manufacture, substandard drugs. That's just not acceptable.
Right. Well, very valid points, Aditi. We'll wait for the report, the inquiry report, the report from the laboratory on these deaths, and also these the samples which have been collected from Maiden Pharmaceutical. And also, as Aditi mentioned, there needs to be some kind of a balance which needs to come in so that such incidents do not really happen. And also, as we keep on insisting that Indian pharma companies are some of the most well reputed across globally, they are well acknowledged, they generate drugs, but at the same time, as Aditi mentioned, it's time that you need to look at certain short staffing and other issues which will take care of that balance. Thank you so much, Aditi, for joining us. We'll keep on following this big story, the follow-up to the story, as we've been doing. You can also log into our website, tribuneindia.com, and also follow us on our other social media platforms like Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Meanwhile, thanks for watching. Hello and welcome to this special streaming